Siauliai. Siauliai, the city in the north of Lithuania, the fourth in the number of inhabitants. Administrative center of the Siauliai County and Siauliai District. Large industrial and cultural center. In the city there are the Siauliai University, the Siauliai Drama Theatre, several museums, including the Museum of Bicycles, the Museum of the Photo, the Museum of Radio and Television, the Museum of Cats and Museum of Local Lore of Osher. The historic center of the city is included in the Register of Cultural Values of the Republic of Lithuania and is protected by the state. Information is to be checked, otherwise it can be removed. You can edit article, having added references to authoritative sources. This mark is established on October 21, 2017. For the first time the name Sol is mentioned in the Livonian rhymed chronicle in connection with fight at Sol 1236. In the forms Solon, 1254. Terem Salem, 1348. And Solia, 1358. It appears in the same and in other German chronicles. In the Russian Empire the city was called Siauliai, on one of outdated hypotheses. In Russian the word of a Siavla plural from a sorrel. Crowd in the West Russian dialects. To 1917, on an equal basis with the name Siauliai, also Shavel option was used, and the county corresponding to the city Shavelski bore a name. According to present scientific etymology, the name comes from plural of a personal name. A name or a nickname of Siauliais. In turn this name, probably, came from Sully's noun that is meant by the shooter or a Sagittarius. In Lithuania similar surnames and now not a rarity are, according to other version. National etymology. The name of the city comes from Sol noun the sun. Two last options are diverse or beaten in the city. For example, the largest shopping center of the city is called Sol's Miestas, the city of the sun. And one of city symbols, the solar bar, is represented in the form of a Sagittarius archer. The territory of the modern city was inhabited in the first millennium of our era. The city was formed on border of resettlement of the Zematiya and Zemgail tribes probably in the 11th century. The fight mentioned in the Livonian rhymed chronicle at Sol, which happened on September 22, 1236, when the joint army of Zhimate and Zemgal beat knights of an award of sword-bearers, is connected with a name of the city. In 1522 Siauliai is mentioned as the center of the Volust. On the map of Europe made by Caspar Vapella in 1555 the town of Siauliai is noted. In 1589 Shevlinsky Economy, association of a number of the royal courts, is founded. In 1701, during Northern War of Siauliai Swedes borrow. In 1710 epidemic of plague claimed the lives of a half of inhabitants. In 1713 the King Augustus II sends on March 13 to Siauliai the letter in which he reports that he grants to the city the Magdeburg right. However, this privilege wasn't realized. In 1791 the Diet of the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth adopts the law on the free cities, under which Siauliai among others is granted the right for self-government. According to this law, the city magistrate was elected on August 1. The same year the city was granted the coat of arms. In 1795, after the third section of the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, the city falls under the Russian jurisdiction and becomes the district center. In 1812 the city is occupied by Napoleon's troops under command of the Marshal MacDonald. In 1831 Siauliai and his vicinities were captured by a revolt during which the city repeatedly was engaged in insurgents. On March 29, 1831 in the neighborhood of the city there was a battle in which the group from 1500 risen overcame the Russian garrison. During the revolt of 1863 citizens made several combat units participating in a number of large skirmishes with the Russian troops. In the memory of these events in 1935 in the city the memorial was open. In 1851 the gymnasium is open. In 1871 through the city the Lubowo-Rumensky Railroad ran. In 1872 the city strongly suffered from the fire. In 1877 the first skinnery, and several years later, 2 more was constructed. At the same time in the city also some other factories were constructed: chocolate and candy. 1876. Tissue and tobacco. 1882. The city was one of the largest centers of the tanning industry of Imperial Russia. In the city the tanning factory of Frenkel, largest in the Russian Empire, worked. By 1897 Siauliai became the second in number of inhabitants, after Kovno, the city of the Kavensky province. In March 1915, during World War I, the city was destroyed by the German troops. 65% of buildings are destroyed. In the spring of 1915 Siauliai and the Shevelsky area became the arena of active fighting of the Russian and German armies, first of all, cavalries. In July 1915, following the results of the Matovo-Shevelsky Operation Siauliai, it was left parts of the Russian Fifth Army. In 1918 in Siauliai the Lithuania's first democratic city self-government was created. In 1919 the guerrilla headquarters for counteraction of the Prince to the Western Volunteer Army Bremont-Avalav worked. During the interwar period the city becomes the largest after Kaunas and Klaipėda, the industrial and cultural center of Lithuania. In the city the largest enterprises for production of skin, footwear, linen fabrics, confectionery work. In the city the museum, Aušra Titnagas publishing house, drama theater, branch of the Klaipėda Trade Institute open. In June 1940 Lithuania becomes the Soviet Republic. On June 25, 1941, for the third day of war the city is occupied by the German troops. A part of Jews of the city runs to Riga where they are also destroyed. In July 1944 troops of the 1st Baltic Front under command of the Marshal Bagramian performed the Siauliai offensive operation, during which, on July 27, 1944, the Soviet troops entered the city. On August 16 Germans put powerful counterstroke to the west of and to the northwest of the city. Heavy fighting continues till August 29. More than a month the city was in a front zone. 80% of buildings were destroyed. The city is awarded the Order Patriotic War. The city develops in Soviet period, first of all, as the industrial center. Openly plant of Veyra's bicycles. 1949. The television plant. Widely known in all USA for brands of Taurus TZ, the plant on production of nuclear and electronics. Though focused first of all on needs of war industry, but nevertheless they released one of the USA's first household computers. Near the city, in the settlement of Siauliai, one of the largest military and air bases of the USA is placed. Nowadays Siauliai International Airport. In 1975 in the downtown the USA's first pedestrian zone was open. Thanks to the bicycle plant, in the 70-80th years Siauliai becomes the bicycle capital of Lithuania. And in the city, and in his vicinity specialized bicycle strips and paths are equipped. Bicycle tourism is cultivated, are held Massachusetts, fiscal turno, bicycle, actions. Economic transformations of the 1990th painfully struck at the city industry. As a result, unemployment rate in the city was nearly the highest in Lithuania, having reached in 2001 16.5%, while the indicator, average over the country, was 12.5%. Years of rapid economic growth. 2004-2008. Relieved the tension, but the begun crisis of 2009-2010 turned Siauliai into the capital of the unemployed again. As a result, emigration of the efficient population to EU countries. In 20 years of independence the population of the city was reduced by 20,000 people. It is located in a northern part of East Zematiski Plateau, in the place of confluence of Mus, Dubis and Venta. In 214 came to the northwest from Vilnius, in 142 came from Kaunas, and in 161 came to the east from Klaipėda. The total area of the city is 81.13 km, of which green zones make 18.87 km, and water objects minus 12.78 km. The perimeter of administrative borders of the city makes km. Siauliai the fourth, after Vilnius, Kaunas and Klaipėda on the population the city of Lithuania. In 2011 in the city lived 121,000 inhabitants. During the history of the city the periods of growth were several times stopped by devastations of wars and epidemics. Also drama changes happened in the national list of inhabitants Siauliai. At the end of the 16th century is the center of economy with the population more than 1,000 people. In the 18th-19th centuries Siauliai represented himself the ordinary district city of Northwest Edge. The beginning of rapid growth of the city was promoted by construction in 1839 to the highway Riga-Tilsit, and in 1871 the Labado-Ramensky Railroad which passed through the city. By 1897 Siauliai, the second city of the Kavensky province. 16128 inhabitants. Growth of the city was stopped by World War I, after which in Siauliai there were about 5,000 inhabitants. In interwar time the city quickly grows as the third largest industrial and cultural center of independent Lithuania. Before World War II the population reaches 32,000. But war cuts the population almost by half. In Soviet period the city quickly grows, and by the time of independence finding the population of Siauliai reaches a historic high. In 1992 149,000 people lived in the city.
The difficult economic situation of the city caused by a reduction of industrial production in the first years after restoration of independence by Lithuania resulted in unemployment, which provoked an emigration stream to the European Union countries.
Crisis of 2008-2010 even more strengthened emigratory moods in the city. According to a population census of 2011, the population of the city was reduced to 121,000. Before World War I, the national structure of the population of the city is typical for the cities of the former Grand Duchy of Lithuania. The most part of the population was made by Jews. So, according to a census of 1897, from 16128 inhabitants, Siauliai, the native language was considered 43.3%. Jewish 3981, 24.7%. Zmods, one of Lithuanian adverbs, 2489, 15.4%. Polish 1542, 9.6%. Russian 494, 3.1%. Lithuanian. In 1902, 16696 inhabitants, from them 9847, 59%. Jews 3819, 22.9%. Catholics 2505, 15%. Orthodox Christians lived in the city. World War I and the interwar period considerably changed national structure of the city.
The Russian military and officials left Lithuania.
Post-war gain of urban population happened generally at the expense of Lithuanians, neighboring peasants. A noticeable part of Jews emigrated to Western Europe and the USA. According to a census of 1923, from 21387 inhabitants, 15058, 70.4%. The Lithuanians 5338, 25%. Jews 304, 1, 4%. Russians 198, 0.9%. Germans 66, 0.3%. Latvians. Post-war Siauliai, almost completely Lithuanian. During the Soviet period there was some increase in a share of the Russian population. Generally this growth was explained by inflow of labor on the new industrial enterprises and the big military contingent of airfield. After independence, finding the Soviet military left the city. Also a part of the Russian-speaking population emigrated. According to a general population census of 2011, from 109,328 inhabitants, 93.64%, 102,373. The Lithuanians 4.13%, 4512. Russians 0.5%, 547. Ukrainians 0.3%, 344. Belarusians 0.15%, 160. Poles 0.1%, 107. Latvians. The coat of arms is granted by the King of Poland Stanislav Augustus Poniatowski on November 9, 1791, together with the rights of the city.
From 1854 to 1920 the city had other coat of arms approved by Nicholas I.
On August 30, 2001, the decree of the President of Lithuania approved a new municipal coat of arms. Also far. Write comments. Read comments. Interesting people will tell interesting stories. All of good mood and good luck.